Senate members who are here. The Right Honorable, please, you're most welcome. Sorry for delay, but I think you were on time. And we will start off the meeting. So let's pray.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings us, your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen.
We'll make a formal introduction. Welcome, Secretary. My name is Abbas Mohammed. I share the committee. This is the Committee of Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. So I'll ask my colleagues, my other members, to self-introduction.
Good morning and welcome, PCS and your team. My name is Catherine Muma, Vice Chairperson of the Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations Committee.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Prime Cabinet Secretary. Your Excellency, welcome with your team. Professor Margaret Kamar is my name, a member of the committee.
We have a member online, Mheshimiwa Dhangwa. Please go on record. Mheshimiwa Dhangwa. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, please welcome again. And I will also take to your side to have a self-introduction for the members of accompanying you. For the purpose of record.
Thank you, Chairman, I'm Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. Thank you.
Honorable Ahmed Abdisalam Ibrahim, Principal Secretary, National Government Coordination, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable members. My name is Joseph Busiega, Chief of Staff, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable members. My name is Juliana Yapan, Principal Administrative Secretary in the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Thank you.
From? Continue your introduction.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable members, my name is Kiprop Marimoy, Director Parliamentary Affairs, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Okay, Karibu. I think I will call upon members from Devolution, State Department of Devolution. So let's start, please.
Honorable Chair, my name is Mahat Shale. I'm the Secretary, Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, State Department for Devolution. I'm representing the PS as well. Thank you.
Honorable Chair and members, I'm Maina Karanja, Legal Advisor to the PCS.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, my name is Anu Lubendi, Advisor to the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Honorable Chair and members, my name is Dan Ameo, Legal Advisor to the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Honorable Chair, my name is Andasi Hachi, the Deputy Director for Press Service at the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Honorable Chair and Honorable Senators, my name is James Juma. I'm the Chief Liaison, Parliamentary Affairs, also of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, my name is Alaj. I am the Parliamentary Liaison Officer in the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, Belinda Otieno. I'm the Assistant Director, Parliamentary Affairs Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Honorable Chair, members, Jeremy Shabati, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, my name is Nick Biketi, Secretary, Parliamentary and Legislative Affairs, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you so much, members. I think that's it. And Sorry, I forgot my secretary, but however, I will proceed still. I'm sorry about that oversight. Cabinet Secretary, I want to again welcome you. And I think this committee is the committee responsible for the Senate Standing Committee, responsible for devolution and intergovernmental relations. And therefore, we invited you here today on an interest concerning the new development agreement between the national government and Nairobi City County. It's a very unique county. I think you are the one who was heading the coalition, the working together, the agreement. I think, and then this has developed a lot of interest in the public. And we wanted to know much about how agreement has been done, how it will affect the service delivery of Nairobi City City County, and the plans in place for national government to settle the bendy bills. You know, last time we had also the NMS guys who have been taking part of responsibility for the for the county, for the Nairobi City, and they left a huge bill pending, and those bills have not been cleared, and we have received so many concerns from the contractors and service providers, and actually the committee also wanted to know what is the position of those pending bills and how will it be handled, and how will the new agreement between the two governments will be able to easily execute it without much ado. With those few remarks, Your Excellency, I want to hand over to you, whoever is going to make the presentation on your behalf or whoever, to maybe enlighten us. We know you have another a meeting, but of course we'll take the shortest time possible. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. I will make some opening remarks, and then I will defer to one of my legal people to just explain the legal aspect of it, and then from there we can proceed. However, Mr. Chairman, let me point out that upon receiving your call for us to attend to your committee, I did a formal written response, and we forwarded to your office. It's quite detailed, and therefore I will not want to read through it because it's a very long document, but I'll just flag some aspects of it in a summary form, and then through the conversation we can maybe fill the gaps on where this is required. First of all, in terms of the particulars of the agreement, I think we have shared a copy of the agreement with your committee, so that it's with you and the full contents are there. We have inside the agreement, there's also the strategic objective and purpose, which is captured under clause 2 of the agreement, and that is to establish a framework for cooperation between the national government and the Nairobi City County government to enhance coordinated planning, financing, implementation, etc. So the whole issue is there, but the most the important aspect is the aspect of the capital city. That is the anchor to this cooperation agreement, because under the Intergovernmental Relations Act, county governments and the national government are already cooperating. Even within the framework of revenue sharing, we are already cooperating. So it is not an alien concept, as it were. Now, the difference in this is that this is a cooperation agreement, and it is not a transfer of functions. The NMS was a transfer of functions. This one is not a transfer of functions. It is purely around coordination. The other aspect in my document to you, Honorable Chair, is that we identify the responsibilities of the framework of cooperation. We then also work out on the financial management framework, because in this context, the cooperation is through identified ministries that have some very specific functions, and we bring out the framework. In total, the projects that are envisaged and the programs, it would cost, the national government would be supporting to the tune of 80 billion Kenya shillings in all these programs. And one thing that we are also very clear about is that in this cooperation agreement, which runs for 24 months, which is 2 years, there are specific targets where we have a steering committee, which I chair and deputized by the governor of the city of Nairobi County, that is Governor Sakaja. Then we have the implementation committee, which is chaired by the governor himself. So that is the one that will deal with the day-to-day follow-up and implementation of this agreement. I then, on page 7 of the document, we highlight the legal context in which this is framed. And under the Urban Areas and Cities Act, particularly Section 6.5, subsection 5, we bring out the very critical aspect that Nairobi City is the capital city of the country. And within that framework, it requires very well thought out, concerted interventions between the national government and the county government in itself. Now the second question was on the implementation of the agreement, and partly I've already alluded to it, and that is on page 9 of the report, the response I gave to you. How would it affect the various areas that require intervention? And Mr. Chair, you will notice that we have developed concept notes, which we are calling white papers. And we've given a synopsis of each. The first white paper deals with water and sanitation, and that is on page 10 of the response, which again summarizes the key aspect of the water challenge in Nairobi. The white paper number 2 deals with the safe streets focusing on upgrading of roads, bridges, and installation of up to 50,000 street lights within the city. Then we have the white paper number 3, which deals with markets and urban economy. This is how to support the infrastructure for both the formal and also the other operators or players in Nairobi City. Then we have the white paper number 4, which focuses on the legal architecture anchoring the cooperation agreement. And then white paper number 5, which is environment and green development. And this talks to the issues of the Nairobi Rivers regeneration the waste to energy opportunity, the built environment, which includes affordable housing, and positioning of Nairobi as a city that can benefit from green finance. Then we have the white paper number 6, which talks of flood resilience. Mr. Chairman, we are all living in a very different time, and we are seeing more frequent and devastating flooding of Nairobi City. So we have a white paper number 6, which focuses and addresses this specific area. The details are there. And we are flexible, actually. We are ready if need be, because it's a very comprehensive subject. We are ready to provide a team or even to share these white papers as they are developed along the way. And then white paper number 7 deals with urban security. And this is the establishment of the Nairobi Metropolitan Service Framework. The Nairobi Metropolitan Police Service proposal establishes a dedicated ward-structured community embedded Metropolitan Police formation within the Nairobi Police Service, National Police Service. Now, you will interrogate this further, but clearly what we are pointing out is that we can have a dedicated police service without having to amend the Act of the National Police Service. Different formations have been made before. Even within the National Police Service today, you can have the anti-stalk unit, and you do not need a new act because the law has already provided for an opportunity for different formations to be there. So we can have the Nairobi Metropolitan. And this, when we talk of Nairobi Metropolitan, we can all see that Nairobi, Machakos, Kiambu, sections of Kajiado, they are basically a metropolis. So this would help in giving more focus to improve on the security within this large metropolis. We also talk of how to strengthen accountability. And we have no intention whatsoever to undermine the principles of devolution. Mr. Chair, I would like, maybe you, I'm sure maybe you know, maybe you don't, but for purposes of being on record, I am the one who submitted the sessional paper on devolution to Parliament. And I was the one who led the first 6 pieces of legislation to anchor devolution and to trigger off devolution. I did when I was Minister for Local Government, to make sure that we beat the election and have devolution as part of the electoral process. So in my blood, devolution flows in the veins. So I would be the last person to undermine devolution. Question 3, Chair, because as I said, I'm highlighting, the document is with you. We talk about aspect around the pending bills. And here we talk of the budget, but we are also conscious of the fact, Mr. Chairman, that there is a dedicated committee chaired by the former Auditor General, Ouko, who is working under a separate mandate that is focused around aspects of pending bills within the public entities. So that become limited to the extent that his report will be more detailed and more thorough on how to deal with the issue of pending bills. But we do flag some thoughts in the document that we have given. You know, these lawyers have their own way of saying certain things. Who is going to speak to it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Dan Ameo. I'm legal advisor to the Prime Cabinet Secretary. If you go to page 7 of the presentation by the Prime Cabinet Secretary, you will see the legal context in which the agreement has been anchored. The first one is Article 189 of the Constitution, which clearly provides that there is cooperation between the two levels of government, including the right to establish joint committees and joint authorities. So there is already a constitutional anchor. The second legal provision is Article 6, which again establishes the two levels of government, though distinct but interdependent, and therefore they should be conducting their relations through consultations and cooperation. This cooperation is in pursuance of that particular provision. And as His Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary has correctly highlighted, the Urban Areas and Cities Act, particularly Section 6, subsection 5, provides the legal basis for the structured cooperation in the management and development of Nairobi as a capital city. Mr. Chairman, we also make reference to the Intergovernmental Relations Act, particularly Section 23, which authorizes the establishment of the joint committees to facilitate intergovernmental consultations. It is important, again, to emphasize, as His Excellency has done, that this agreement expressly provides that it does not constitute a transfer of functions and therefore does not fall within the ambit of Article 187 of the Constitution of Kenya. Mr. Chairman, I think those are the key legal texts that this agreement is anchored on. I thank you.
Any other additional things that's might be someone to add? Thank you so much, Prime Cabinet Secretary and his team. I actually think the explanation is very clear. Probably want to ask one or two questions that may be of concern. One is actually the role of the county. These funds come from the National Assembly, sorry, the national government, and it's being used in the city, which comes under National Assembly for purpose of accountability. So the agreement has not given a role to the national, the county assembly of Nairobi to oversight all functions, all functions and all implementation of projects. So we're expecting kind of concerns from the elected members of the county assembly. So I don't know how, in terms of accountability and in terms of implementation, what will be the role of the county assembly Two, the county government of Nairobi did not give a specific budget on implementation of whether they have their own contribution or how they will be able to implement the project. Because definitely they have to have their contribution for these projects. So we're not seeing any agreement being done in terms of contributing, in terms of human resource, in terms of physical interventions, financial implications, and all these things are not there. So I don't know how that was agreed upon on the role of the county as Nairobi County. It's not coming out very clearly. Two, I think I'll also give time to my colleagues. This is a 2-year program. So what happens after 2 years? What's a long-term plan for this kind of intervention? Because we require this city has to be improved. As you rightly say, the city needs a lot of interventions. The county is not able to run alone. So what will be the long-term interventions again? I mean, how will this program continue after the 2 years? Thank you. Any member wants to ask a question? Yes, Senator Muma.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity, and welcome once again, PCS and team. Chair, I'd like to confirm that when I served in the Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution, when we did the devolution laws, and Prime Cabinet Secretary, then local government minister, sat with us until 3:30 a.m. In CIA. We were working on these laws to get them done. So even as we move, I believe if anything goes wrong, we will take it to be mischievous, because we actually ought to know exactly how this should happen. And I also want to confirm that in terms of the legal anchor as read by the team, that is correct. And also to declare that whoever read this was my boss at the Attorney General. When I served there, was my immediate boss at the Attorney General, and Amos Wako was the top boss then. PCS, we were concerned, and we called the governor for Nairobi. Basically, first, there was a lot of this issue was signed and then went public. So the public participation process was not properly followed. It was being done post facto. It was being done after the signing of the agreement. It even had a clause saying that if anything new comes out of public participation, it will be put in. And Dana Mayo, you'll agree that is untidy way of doing agreements. You first do public participation, bring on board everything that ought to be there, and then it should be there. Now, I agree that this agreement is required under the Urban Areas and Cities Act, and none of the previous Nairobi governments have actually done this agreement, and therefore the agreement is welcome. But my reading of the agreement, particularly of clause 7 on financing of the agreement, is so vague. Now, Governor Sakaja tells us he has fundraised 80 million out of this, 80 billion, sorry. We don't know where that 80 billion is. In fact, when you look at clause 7, it's not a clause, it's now an article, because it's signed. It's very vague. The parties shall jointly agree on the modalities for financing. So that's why one would wonder, this is a team, a top-heavy team with the national government ministers sitting with county government ministers periodically deciding on planning and all of these things. How is that different from a cabinet secretary, a cabinet of the county sitting and planning its own functions? And the functions that have been picked are actually county functions. So if you are meeting and planning on these functions, what is the county cabinet doing? Is it also meeting and planning functions? So this makes it look like national government has actually come in to run the county government. National government function under the Constitution is to set national policy, is to set standards, is to provide technical support, and of course to implement their own functions, amongst which for Nairobi a very important one that you raise is security. And I didn't see security mentioned as one of the areas of collaboration, and security is purely the function of national government, but you can cooperate and collaborate on that function. So with this vague provision, anybody reading this agreement is unclear on what national government is coming to assist county government to do. It's not very clear at all. So we would want to know exactly what extent. We've not seen any mention that national government will be giving conditional grants to support areas, for instance, where you must secure the diplomatic missions and things. I would have wanted to see that role of cooperation and collaboration that retains the distinctiveness of the two levels of government. But here, it looks like we have merged the two cabinets and we have asked them to run Nairobi City County. That will be a backdoor way of implementing 187, even though you are saying the agreement is under 189. We need clarity that in this instance, we are giving technical support. In this instance, we are helping to enforce standards. In this instance, we are giving conditional grants for the counties to deliver. I don't see any of that in this agreement. Now, recently, if we can use the floods that happened in Nairobi recently. Once the floods happened, I think there was all manner of jokes about the flooding in Nairobi, and I think the Nairobi governor took the flak for it. All the mention of Lake Sakaja and all these other things that were being said. But what the Kenyans failed to note, that Kenha and Kura are in charge of the roads in Nairobi. The Kura roads are county roads, but national government is yet to deliver the money for the county roads. RLMF, all the money of RLMF is still with the national government. So in Nairobi, effectively, whoever is doing roads is national government, both county roads and national government. So if there's a weakness on delivery around drainage and roads in Nairobi, it's not the national government, even though county government has a role. Simply because the national government has resisted to wind up the parastatal holding county fund, still holding on to those monies, has not given those county as conditional grants for county to implement. But of course, when it happens and lives are lost, the governor has to take the flak for it. So we would want to see, as we give you accolades for at least attempting this collaborative agreement, it would be good to see real efforts that people can monitor accountability for and be able to see through this particular issue on roads is going to be better in April when the rains come, or this is already. We would want to see, and hopefully PCS will tell us in the current budget which are part of that 80 billion, particularly at least for this coming financial year, slotted in that will help us to see what is happening. I think I can stop.
Professor.
Thank you very much, Chair. I also would like to raise a few issues in relation to the legal context. I think it has come out very clearly. But I want to understand cooperation their way.
is objected or opposed to, is objecting or opposed to counties getting more funds. So whenever funds are coming to the counties, we always support such an act, but it should be done within the law. When I read what you just presented here today, Bwana Waziri, if I look at it from the left, right, even from bottom up, this is a transfer of functions. Because what you're implementing or you're proposing is to implement Article 187 of the Constitution. You're implementing Article 187 of the Constitution without agreeing to it that you're implementing it. Because one, there's transfer of function, there is funding of these projects, there is coordinating of these projects, and there is implementing. So if you're funding, if you're coordinating, and if you're implementing, then you have already taken all the functions of that county government. Because operation, you have the operational control, and control means exercise of that function. So I think you need to bring it out clearly. By either one, we accept that you're implementing Article 187. And if I can go to Article 187, very fast, Madam Chairman, it says that, yes, 187.1, a function or power of a government at one level may be transferred to a government at the other level by agreement between the government. So that one is allowed by the law. But if you read Article 187.2, it says, if a function or power is transferred from a government at one level to a government at the other level, constitutional responsibility for the performance of the function or exercise of the power shall remain with the government to which it is assigned by the 4th schedule. So if there is cooperation and you're funding, then the functions or the responsibility shall remain with the Nairobi County government. So I would want Bwana Waziri to show us if there is one project that you have funded, that you have coordinated, but the county of Nairobi has control of it. That is one. Two, this is another NMS with a good name or with a good structure, maybe I can say that. NMS left a pending bill of about 16 billion. So is this corporation looking into that pending bill of 16 billion that was left by the national government through the corporation that was there, that is NMS? And are we going to experience the same when probably you exit this corporation, the county government will be left with a huge amount of pending bill? Three, Chair, what if other counties demand the same? We have Nakuru, we have Mombasa, we have Kisumu, all cities, and we even have Kiambu that is also expecting to be a city very soon. If they demand the same, will they get the same amount of money? And if they do, will they get the same structure? And if this structure is there, that is headed by the Prime CS, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, who is heading the coordinating committee, which is a parallel kind of government, would we have all counties experiencing the same, having you now spearheading all the counties, assuming we were to get this kind of coordination? That means we are creating a governor of all the governors. That is my thinking. Because if this coordinating committee, we're going to control what the counties are doing. So my point is, this cooperation has been done without the Senate approval, has also been done without clear transfer agreement safeguards, and also it lacks legal clarity. And Chair, finally, the 7 white papers that Bwana Waziri has indicated are also not binding. They depend on the goodwill from the executive because they do not have any legal backing or policy. So my question is, we only have 24 months to execute this cooperation. What if the next president comes in and probably wouldn't want such an agreement or would want to enhance it? What are the safeguards when it comes to this agreement? And why 24 months? Why don't we just put it within the law? We agree it's transfer of functions. proper public participation is done, and then nobody is objecting on Nairobians getting a bigger share of any funds so that they can implement, make sure it's secure, sanitation is fine, infrastructure, nobody is objecting. What I would object myself, and I believe, Chair, you do so too, is that we need a clear guideline within the parameters of the law. That is my submission, Chair.
Thank you so much, members. I think next time, please, I want you to ask that question so that the Prime Secretary, Cabinet Secretary is asking for just another meeting. So we want to take the shortest time possible. So I think I will hand over to you, Honorable PCS.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and I also want to appreciate the comments and queries raised by the members. I think they're all very useful in getting clarity around this thing. First of all, I just want to say that, Honorable Chair, it will be important that the concept white papers be shared with the committee, because a lot of the issues that are being raised are actually captured in the broader documentation of the concept. So to make it easier for all of us to be on the same page, we shall facilitate so that all the concept white papers are availed in detail to the committee, and this will help in clearing some of the concerns raised. The other thing that we indicate is that within the framework of assessing, this framework, remember, it's a cooperation framework. It's not the detail. The detail about implementation will be chaired by the governor of Nairobi. So when you are having a cooperation framework, you do not go into the detail of the implementation in a cooperation. You establish broad principles, and then the details of implementation are then worked out systematically. So I just wanted to make that clarification. I want to reemphasize again that the figure that we talk about, 80 billion, this is assuming we had the ideal situation. We would have to have 80 billion on the table. Okay, so we have costed that this cooperation framework for these specific areas, to have it implemented, then it would get to 80 billion. If we break down and ask ourselves, so what does Nairobi County get out of the revenue share? All county governments get about 400 billion Kenya shillings over the period. If you go backwards and then you ask yourself, then it is clear Nairobi County would not be able to raise this sum of money. So we need to find a different way of supporting them. And it's on this basis that we say that Nairobi being the capital city, it is the image of the entire nation, and that is why it's captured under the Urban Areas and Cities Act as the capital city, and it will call sometimes for special interventions. So the principle behind this framework is exactly that special status of Nairobi. And therefore, collaboration becomes extremely essential. Nairobi, as a city, entails 60% of our GDP as a country. Therefore, we cannot continue treating Nairobi the way we have treated it. It calls for special intervention as a country, as a nation, to be able to give it that status. And Honorable Chair, I just want to say that if there's anybody to be charged not in a court of law, but charged for either failure to act, in the context of omission or commission, I think there is collective guilt for the entire country. Because over the years, and this is a very personal observation, it may be right, it may be wrong, we have committed so much energy to the extent that we are not realizing, for instance, that Dar es Salaam Airport has become better than Nairobi Airport. That Entebbe Airport, after their extension, is actually better than Nairobi Airport. Rwanda Airport is better. If you go to Zimbabwe today, and Zimbabwe is facing sanctions from the Commonwealth, you land in Harare Airport today. It is now superior to Nairobi. You go to Angola, Luanda, their new airport is now superior to Nairobi Airport. I could go on and on. Go to Zambia, there's a change. Today, go and land in Zanzibar and look at the airport. So we have been living in past glory and not realizing that we need to invest in our capital city. Therefore, we need to have a clear and a strategy that can help us start correcting the situation. And therefore, when we talk about street lighting, Nairobi and others, they're already doing part of it, but they need help. We need to bring in the private sector. All these are captured in the concept paper, where we have shared partnership and engagement. When we talk of electricity, Honorable Kamal, on the last mile, it's amazing if we moved away from the CBD and now we went to Korogocho or Dandora, and we see how our citizens are connecting electricity in the informal areas. It is a time bomb. It is not right. We need to invest in better connectivity, more efficient, safer. And therefore, when we talk of this last mile, it is to get where the majority of Nairobians live. The majority of Nairobians are not in CBD. They're outside the CBD. We need to target and work for them. The issue of water supply, perennial water shortages still occur. We draw water from the dams that we have been building, but we need to increase this 50,000 cubic meters. And in the concept paper, it indicates it will not be the final solution. We are covering over a period. But when that is on, we'll also be planning for the next phase of water investment. The sanitation, Honorable Chair, the sewer capacity in Nairobi City has been inadequate. We will never clean up the Nairobi River, the Ngong River, unless we increase the capacity in the sea. And I think it would be important. I don't know if it's in order, Honorable Chair, that at the full courtesy of the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, I would be very happy that we take the committee, this very important committee, to a tour to just have a glimpse of actually the practical works that are going on towards trying to solve this issue. I think it would be very, very important. Away from the politics, away from whatever, just a focused, dedicated tour and inspection of the projects that are going on to appreciate the magnitude of this crisis. Solid waste management. It is true this has been with us for many years. And we have to address it. If we do not, we are going to have a problem. A bigger problem than what we have. Tokyo, as an example, generates about 40% of its power from solid waste. Tokyo, in Japan, where they have several plants from solid waste and it powers their city. And the byproducts are then used to create paving slabs, cabro, and everything from the process of that solid waste. And then you can also have fertilizer or manure developed from this. We are not utilizing the full value, and we need to realize that is the garbage waste, or can the garbage be turned into a gold mine? This is a question that we can answer, and that's why we need to invest together with the Nairobi city. The issue of urban security, I reiterate, it has to be collaboration. I know in the Act we talked of a joint security committee, collaboration between the county governments and the national police. They have an oversight security committee to get a feel of the security, but the law still gives the national police the greater responsibility. So what we are trying to do here is to also incorporate where we can invest jointly, also with the private sector, in technology, in intelligence transport systems, in intelligence systems that can help in dealing with the security situation as it is being done in other peer cities globally. Again, this is captured in the concept notes, which will be good for reading, and we are open to enrichment of these documents so that we can do better. Now, Honorable Gathangwa has raised a fundamental issue. We cannot roll back on devolution. The Act is very clear, the Urban Areas and Cities Act, that this is specific to the capital city. If indeed other cities required some special intervention, then this very committee would have to look into the law and see whether we should amend the law to give special status similar to the one that is given to the capital city in this context. Why do we make it a 24-month arrangement? Because it's about cooperation. And we give it that so that we can also review whether the framework will be yielding results or not. If it is not yielding results, then we rethink the approach. If it is yielding results, since it's an initial 24 months, the parties, that is the national government and the county government, will have the option to decide whether they want to have an extension or not to extend it. But I would not want to have a situation where we have a permanent contract, because it would then start looking like we are clawing back on devolution, and that should not be the situation. I just want to reiterate that we are fully in support of devolution. This is not a takeover. The implementation committee, which is the most critical, is chaired by the county government. The county assemblies must have oversight, and this particular framework agreement was also debated by the county assembly, and eventually they gave it approval, and they spoke to the issues contained there. So this is a framework. It's not the detailed document, and each specific area will have specific issues. For instance, I agree that the roads, for instance, the highways and what have you, this is investment by the national government, either by Kura or by the national highway, Kenya National Highways, and it affects the Nairobi city. For instance, if I may give another example, the Nairobi Railway City is being planned. Cooperation between the county government, cooperation between the Ministry of Roads and Transport, cooperation with the railway, and support from the UKEF. This is the British government support to invest in modernizing the railway city and also the commuter lines, so that the ease of transport logistics can be achieved and we can ferry more people in and out of the city, all the way to Thika, to Riruta. The connectivity will come to the airport and even to the SGR, so that it becomes an integrated transport hub. All this to help in easing the challenges that Nairobi is facing. And, Your Honorable Chair, this cannot be achieved by the county government alone. We need collaboration, we need partnership. It calls for investments. As we do the other cities, yes, there'll be investment, but we cannot maybe engage in this unless the law was looked at differently. But Nairobi, as a capital, has been given that special status under the law. But that does not mean that other cities do not need intervention. They do. They do. But the scales will vary and the format will vary.
Chair, I just want clarification on a question I asked. And I think Tangwa also asked the how PCS. I think the governor told us there'll be monthly meetings around this planning. As he says, you have your functions, they have their functions. So if the joint teams are sitting and planning the water in Nairobi, planning the roads in Nairobi, what is the role of Nairobi on its own? The how is actually where the fear comes in terms of whether you are doing collaboration on that is limited, or whether you're actually joining with the county executive to implement county functions. I think it would be good for you to speak on that. Allow Chair for me to also add that this country has never properly planned the informal settlements. And I think the more population in Nairobi is in the informal settlements. And we can't say we are planning well if we are not planning for them. I particularly asked a question to Minister for Education. Even public schools are very limited, and yet the largest population is there. It would have been good to try, for the two teams to try and crack what it means to plan to facilitate equal services for citizens in the informal settlements. And then finally, the PPP Act also restricts county governments from being able to enter into PPP arrangements on their own. And I think Nairobi itself managed to get, there was an instance when they were able to get an investor to come in. But I think they had challenges in regard to the PPP department. So it would have been good to try and see how are we facilitating, not just Nairobi, how are we reorganizing the PPP arrangements so that I think there was a time like Laikipia wanted to raise its own funds, but they were again limited because national government would not let them do that. So all of those are important.
Thank you, Chair.
Go on record.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. May I first of all go on record? This is Senator Ezena Lemalitian from Samburu County. Chair, I just wanted to find out from the Prime Cabinet Secretary, one, on when the NMS police is going to be established, and a definite answer on whether, that's my second question, a definite answer on whether the pending bills actually involve the salaries for the previous staff from the NMS. And lastly, if history has been taken into consideration as far as the planning of Nairobi is concerned, because I see that in the White Paper 3, you have spoken about building permanent urban facilities and with non-negotiable infrastructure standard covering sanitation, waste management, security, water supply, formal electricity and drainage, given the fact that originally Nairobi was formed in 1899 and it used to be a swamp for the Maasai to water their cows. Has that been taken into consideration to ensure that we will not be building castles in the air? And there are plans to decongest Nairobi because you have said that the congestion in Nairobi is in the informal sector. What if these informal sectors are actually built close to riparian lands, which over time have been, the rivers have reduced in size because of environmental degradation and other environmental factors? Is there a plan to move these huge settlements out of the city? Or are we going to continue building permanent structures, and the nature is very unforgiving? Thank you.
Chair. Yes, thank you very much, Chair. I think on the question that I had asked about other counties requesting for the same, I think I request the Prime CS to rethink that answer, because giving Nairobi this special status because it has a capital city, it's nowhere in our laws, it's nowhere in the Constitution, because special status cannot override the constitutional structure. We have 47 counties. So yes, we do understand the Nairobi County houses our capital. Mombasa also is a port city. Kisumu could be the regional hub. Kiambu, agricultural, and even Nairobi's bedroom, the one we are talking about. So I think maybe the CS can show us where in the Constitution, where Nairobi is given a special mode of governance because it is a capital city. Because if we give Nairobi this advantage, not looking at other countries, that is discrimination. And again, we are now making devolution conditional other than constitutional. So I think there is nowhere in the law that gives Nairobi County ahead of other counties because it houses the capital city.
Yeah, maybe starting from where Kang was stopped, I had asked the question on whether we are rescuing Nairobi or the problem is actually that devolution has not given enough resources to all the counties. And I say this because in Schedule 4, health was devolved. But the Ministry of Health headquarters remains the way it was. We did not take the directors out of Avia House. Avia House is still as full as it was. The same thing with the Ministry of Agriculture, where I served as a public servant. Agriculture was devolved. Did the resources follow functions in that docket? Because Kilimo House is still, the same offices we used to visit are still the way they were. I'm asking this because is it possible that what you are curing in Nairobi will erupt in other places? Because if you can do sewerage, why not do sewerage in Thika? I'm saying this because is it that devolution is not working because the resources were not devolved or the resources did not follow the functions that were given, and that the only thing they can do is to support salaries to the tune of 75%? That was my last comment. Thank you.
Okay, I think maybe I can ask one more question, Your Excellency. Is that the rise in Nairobi rising has been formalized on 27th of February 2026. But of course, I have not seen any budgetary allocations or fiscal analysis, done for the 80 billion shillings or even continue for the next 2 years. We're now making our financial, now we are making the finances, preparing our budgets now. So this thing has not, it does not appear in the county fiscal strategy program. And it's not there in our policy statement. So I don't know how we want to now finance that money, that program. 2, Nairobi is actually currently turning to be more of an informal settlement area. There are a lot of rising buildings. You have, of course, seen what happened during the floods. So what is the plan of the government? Because Nairobi, as I rightly said, we've been overtaken by, the other countries that we left them many years way back. They have been far ahead behind us. So this thing, this city requires a serious intervention. And I think we need even a new city. Because the way things are, there are a lot of informal settlements actually coming up within the municipality, the CBDs. So I don't know what the government have, how much plan the government have for that. Not only the airport, even the city itself. Like the CBD is now, everybody's converging to only one area. All the government services are here. The CBD, all services for, areas for shopping and all these things are coming back to the CBDs. So I think we need to open up this city, or probably have a new city for these guys to look better than what we are now today. Because Nairobi now has turned a kind of an informal settlement area. In the other world, you can see, of course, they're there, the other African countries. But of course, they are the peripheries of the cities. They're the area for expansion. Now, if you go to Kiambu side, you'll have informal settlement. If you go to Kiadu side, you'll have informal settlement. If you go to Thika side, you have an informal settlement. So I don't know why Nairobi will now expand on to look a better city and beautiful city.
Chair, this is untidy, but a last one. Could we know where the department, the State Department for Devolution is based? Who's their minister? We've had conversations before, and we hear they don't have anybody to speak for them in cabinet on many issues that we've raised. In fact, I think we will believe before we meet, we were under the impression it was the DPL. We've never managed to get an appointment with the previous, no, the deputy president, with the previous or the current one.
Before, I think to add on that, Your Excellency, the committee has actually a concern the State Department of Devolution remains hanging in the air. So they cannot present their papers and their policies to anybody, especially cabinet approval. Most of the times they struggle, they take it to the AG, and I think that is not very fair. I mean, for this, I mean, for devolution to continue and to progress, we need to have a substantive ministry under which the department will come in under, so they can be able to move with their policy issues and other things. It's actually a big concern.
Okay, thank you, Chair. On the legal issues, I'll defer to the lawyer in the room to elaborate on that particular aspect. So let me deal with the others, and then he'll respond to the legal, and I think he can elaborate a little more so that we are able to clear that. Now, one thing that, let me start with the Honorable Chair's comments. I don't think in Nairobi we can relocate and have another city. It has happened in Dar es Salaam. They were able to have a new capital in Dodoma. In Nigeria, they were able to move away from Lagos and take it to Abuja. But I would like us to remember the land tenure system that we have is different. Here, you're dealing with private-owned land. It was good for us. We went ahead, and a lot of the land within these urban areas belongs to Kenyan citizens. Whether you're moving into Kajiado, whether you're moving into Machakos, whether you're moving into Kiambu, whether you're going towards Thika. So even if you moved beyond that, you would be looking at expropriating people's land in order to convert and create a new city. I think that is not practical. And it would create a completely different ballgame. We have already seen what it costs the Kenya government or the Kenyan taxpayer to acquire land to do the SGR because it belonged to individuals. We all know what it costs when you want to do a road, the amount of compensation that you have to negotiate. So our land tenure system cannot provide a generic solution like the ones of Tanzania and Nigeria. Therefore, we have to look at Nairobi differently. What are the interventions that are really before us in terms of urban renewal and urban change? Let me give the example of affordable housing. When we look at a settlement like Kibera today, it is vast land basically on ground level. What is affordable housing beginning to do? It's beginning to have a situation where the density has been altered so that you go upwards and you start opening up the space. And as you do the urban housing, you improve the roads, you must improve the sewage, one of the things that will help us unlock Kibera is to make sure that there is a modern sewage with a proper capacity. This has not been there. So we have to invest in that kind of infrastructure. And that is how we will start altering Kibera, and Kibera can even hold even more people. It can hold more people if we did the necessary infrastructure to allow the whole aspect of sanitation to be managed better. We can do more. And this is what we need to invest in our urban area. So that is what is happening in Kasarani, in Mathare, in all these areas. We have to look at it from that context. And in the process, counties like Kiambu, Machakos, Kajiado are also feeling the pressure of this growth. And therefore, when we look at the investments, we are looking at the metropolis area and we see how we intervene in that space. So we have some work to do. And I really want to appeal to this committee to lend us support as we move forward. The issue of the how, the question that keeps coming up and again. We may have a series of very consecutive meetings initially for purposes of setting the framework in place. But after that, for instance, the Joint Steering Committee, we are not implementers. It becomes an oversight role to take stock of, this can be maybe now a quarterly session. But the implementing committee chaired by the governor has got to be more hands-on than anybody else. He has to work with his technical team, and the technical team in City Hall must work with the technical teams of the various ministries. If it is energy, they work together. If it is roads, they work together. Aspects of the budget. You have raised a few important points that this needs to be properly captured, especially as we are coming into the new financial year. And I take that as a very, very urgent issue that needs to be addressed, so that in those very critical stages of budgeting for the country, highlights of this are captured appropriately, so that it does not seem to be like a hanging intervention. So that is a very important message that we take. Now, each ministry has got a budget line. That is why these ministries play a role in the steering committee or in the implementation committee. For instance, if it is roads, and this is where the distinction is coming, we are not taking the money and just giving it away. Under the Public Finance and Management Act, we must also be compliant. So in all this expenditure arrangement with this corporation, one thing that we must not lose sight of is the PFM Act. So that whatever program, whatever project is undertaken, it is in tandem with the law. So that, again, I guarantee, is one of the things that we want to ensure. I do agree with you that the PPP Act or unit needs a lot of review in terms of their approach. And it's not just necessarily in the context of county governments, but even in other areas. We've had expressions of frustration of potential investors within the PPP framework who are either not getting decisions or the process is taking too long, or there's some opaqueness around the arrangement of the PPP framework. So I think that is something that is valid, and we can jointly look at it in the context of not just specific to projects, but also the legal framework around the PPP. There was something to do with devolution and where it is domiciled. It is a department that is under the supervision of the Deputy President, as we speak. But the Deputy President is not a Cabinet Secretary. So today I'm here as the Prime Cabinet Secretary to speak for the Devolution Department. And we have the secretary here with us in that context. But let me put it this way: it's the whole of government approach. So we will collaborate and work together. I don't know if I've missed out anything. If I have, my colleagues will help me in dealing. But maybe Chair, I should just say, as before the legal man intervenes, the lawyer Dan Ameo, since this is the Urban and City Areas and Cities Act is a law of Parliament. If Parliament saw it fit to amend that law, then we would go back